Hello everyone. For this review, we are going to do a couple mods on the Hasbro 84 Neutrino wand. So one of the things that I didn't like about the wand, and I'll just kind of demonstrate real quick, is the bar graph is kind of simple. There's just basically like four lights or five lights on the inside of it. So I've got a Frutto Technology Bargraph. Um, the kit is pretty simple, but we're going to have to go inside this, and it does take a good bit of work to get in there. Um, also have some pieces to help reinforce this once it gets inside. And then I'm going to replace the orange cap that comes on it with a clear plexiglass to make it more 84 uh, looking. So going to do those two mods, and pretty excited about doing this. So uh, let's get started. So as we get started here, we're going to take this out for a moment because we do need to do a little bit of prepping. We could do this now, or we could do it later, but it's doesn't really matter how you go about it. But there are going to be a few things that need to be switched out. And matter of fact, I think we're going to need some of the cables from the existing bar graph. One very important thing is that there's going to be a part where we have to solder this to an existing ground point. That's probably the most sophisticated we're going to get into it. There's also some jumpers, um, and there's a controller. Oh, I'm sorry, this is the controller. This is the actual bar graph. And then we're going to use this spacer. It's got some 3D hair on it. We're going to have to get rid of, clean up a little bit. But basically, we're going to use this spacer to kind of help give this, kind of fit this in to the space. Because we have to take out, well, we don't have to, but we're going to take out this uh, plastic area. It's pretty dense and deep. So when we take that out, we'll have to cut it. We'll have to cut it away, and this is going to give us a little bit of root, kind of framework to stick this in and kind of replace replace the hole that's going to be left there. Okay, so actually, I think we'll probably do this later because I think we need some of the existing cables. We'll do this later too. All right, so we'll need to get into here. And the thing about this is that you look on the back, you got some screws here. This is just holding the V bracket to the plastic. It's all these rivets, but these are decoration. These are not working at all. Anywhere you see rivets, they're all decoration. The screws are behind these pieces. So this is designed in a way that Hasbro doesn't want people to go in here and mess with it. Now, you definitely can go in and mess with it, but you're kind of agreeing that you're going above and beyond and you're kind of tearing into it to get into it. So I've seen a few people. I see a lot of people use like Dremels and just destroy this little plastic knob. I'm gonna try to use a tool and kind of like get in and like pull it because it is just a little plastic tab in there. I'm also gonna try using a heat gun to maybe heat the plastic up a little bit, make it a little bit more malleable, and maybe that will help a little bit. So let's see if that works at all. Oh, and one very important thing before we even start, we're going to take the power out. That is probably the most important part to this. Okay, so I have removed the battery. I'm going to take this away for a moment so I can put it in my lap, try to pierce this plastic without tearing up the rest of the proton pack. The plastic is pretty, it's where the hole is. Like I'm digging in and I'm barely breaking through here. I'm gonna give it a little bit more elbow grease. Okay, it isn't really budging at all. Kind of creating a hole, but I'm not really getting this down very far. So heat it up a little bit more. And this actually healed the hole up a little bit. So I know it's melting the rubber some, the plastic a little bit. Oh, okay. So that got it all the way in. I'm going to basically try to pry this out. It's kind of budging. It's being difficult. I just heat it a little bit more. Every time I heat it, the hole closes up. So I know I'm melting the plastic. Okay. I have melted the plastic so much that this egg is pretty much loose. All right. So that's the peg, and there's a teeny weeny tiny little screw down in there. So I'm not going to bore you guys with doing all four of these, but basically this is a way to get it out without like totally destroying everything. And like you saw, you can put some heat back on this, and it will basically turn this nub into like a chocolate chip and kind of melt it back in its position. So I'm gonna do this off camera real quick. All right, so we've got that part done. So let's see if I've got a screwdriver. Oh, perfect. I've got a screwdriver that fits. I don't believe we have to mess with these. This is not holding this piece together at all. Okay, so it should just come off. Yep. All right. Okay. There are four screws. So got this, and this. Basically, this entire piece is like kind of the top to this area. So we'll work on taking those out. Uh, Maybe we don't need this one. I'm gonna leave that one in for right now. Tell if I'm doing this or not. Okay, it does look like I need to undo this one. So okay. Um, so we got this cable here. It's not functional, but also don't want to damage it. So just carefully place it over there. All right. So there we've got some of our proton guts. I've seen a lot of people um, kind of tear into the plastic here, but I'm gonna attempt to take this piece off without uh, having to like cut into it. We are going to end up having to cut into the plastic piece that the current bar graph is housed in. Okay, so I think not sure how to deal with this just yet. Try to extend it carefully. And Kind of seems like I'm going to need to remove this. Okay, stepping back for a moment, we need to get this out of the way, and I don't think I really demonstrated this properly, but I want to go ahead and release the barrel here. So we're going to have access to this stuff. This speaker needs to get moved out of the way. And I'm being careful because I don't know how much space I've got for the wire. All right, so there's not a lot there. So I need to find somewhere to just gonna lay this there for right now. Okay, so we need to get to the the current barcode bar graph down here. Um, I can see why a lot of people just cut this off. I'm curious. Something tells me we can just lift this up if we remove this piece and that bolt underneath. Okay. So let's see how difficult this is going to be. This is a separate piece. I think the only thing that's holding this together are these two pieces. Yeah, pulling it off, there's still a lot of resistance there. Just gonna try to pull on it a little bit because there is a, yeah, you can tell that it does come loose right there. All right, let's take this side off. I think this is the part that's holding this on. I think we're gonna have to just take this on off anyway. Yep. Okay, and in case you get those screws mixed up, those two are the same size. So that means we can pull this off. Mm, there's another screw deep down in there. Okay, there are some screws on the motherboard here, and they may also be holding this whole thing down. So take these off. This thing still isn't budging. Where's this being held down at? Watch, there ends up being screws underneath that. They have to come out. Maybe it is sonically welded. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, after some review here, I understand why people are just cutting this off. I'm not really sure how far this goes down, but this, what this is connected to, is deep down into the sides here, and can't quite figure out how deep it goes. So the question is, do I dig further or do I go ahead and cut this? The main thing that this is doing is, number one, it's well, period, it's protecting these cables from this piece here. And so if you imagine we're looking at this from the bottom, so we cut this loose, that means these cables can fall in this, and this is the whole reason this bridge is kind of here. We can do some clever stuff to like tape it back or glue it back, but I was really hoping I could get this whole thing off here. That is really disappointing. Actually, it might be due to the Cliffords. Could possibly be holding it. It's just really impossible to see down in here, even with like I've been using a flashlight to get down in there, and it's just impossible to tell how deep this goes. We're gonna take one more look and we'll figure out which way to go. Okay, so I am going to take these these hex screws off on the front Clifford here, and see if that gives me any access to additional screws that's holding that plate down. Okay, so that was also a dead end. You unscrew these, and this thing still doesn't want to move. It feels like there's like a screw coming from the inside into this. So I'm just gonna tighten these back up. If these even do anything. felt felt like it loosened, like it was tight and then it loosened, but I don't know, man. This thing is a mess. It's I mean, kudos to them because they clearly wanted to make this um tamper proof, and they really have. Uh, yeah, for all I know, this carrot tray is glued down from the inside. So we are gonna cut to that piece. Okay, just wanted to show something else real quick. See if I can get this camera to zoom down into the hole. Can't really see it. Come on, camera. Okay, you can barely see it, but uh, right in here, there's like a little washer that these connect into. Um, so that's why it was kind of being weird, and and screwing them both back in. You have to. Man, this poor speaker is gonna be fucked up. And screwing these back in, you basically have to get something, uh, like some tweezers or something on the other side to kind of hold the washer in, so you can uh, tighten it back up. So I just thought I would share that because If you did what I did and tried to take that off, you're going to have a really weird problem trying to get those to screw back in. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to cut this. I really didn't want to cut it, but I think maybe I will. There's a couple ways to do this. So the main thing is protecting this bundle of cable. So I may cut it along here, and then anything I need to get to back behind there, I'll just kind of flex this upward to get to it. Um, that might solve most of the problem. So I'm gonna examine that real quick. Okay, so I went ahead and cut it here. Sorry, let me do this to demonstrate better. So I cut here, and I'm hoping what I can do is, as I need to get things and pull things out, somehow I cut this at an angle too, which is like nice and perfect. I wasn't trying to do that. Um, but what I am hoping is that I can kind of flex this as I need to get things out of the way and then just kind of push it back. We'll see what happens. Worst case scenario, if I have to cut into here, um, maybe I can do something to kind of glue it back and reinforce it from the underside. But I'm going to try my best to work with this as it is right now. So this is going to get a little difficult. I have to do some of this off camera, but I want to show as much as possible here. Right, so let's get a little situated. It's a lot to do here. So I should flip this around. Yeah, it actually works a little bit better. Okay, so there is a bunch of stuff in here I gotta get out. And pretty sure I have to remove this. There is screw here. I think there is one back here. And it's definitely a screw right there. What else? There's one more. See if I can point to it. It's down in there. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna do this off camera because I'm just gonna be like hands in the way. But once I get all this stuff out, I will show what it looks like here. Okay, so in diving a little bit deeper in here, I am realizing that I'm gonna need to get into this area also. So there are two more of these plastic slugs. I'm gonna do like I did with the other one. I'm gonna heat them up and see if I can pull them out easily. and we're gonna have to get this case off. And I think in the end, I'm gonna have to break this loose also, and I'm gonna have to remove this to get it out of the way. So I'm gonna start working on that, and we'll be back. All right, and if you're gonna use this heat gun method that I'm using, be careful because I ended up warping this a bit. I'm gonna put some heat back on it to straighten it out, but probably point the heat gun in this direction and not this direction. Okay, so we got that out of the way, and yeah, understand why this is such a big. Okay, all right. Let's take this off. Okay, so what we need to get to is here. So we're gonna have to um cut through here too. Okay, so we need to get this guy here. Let me get the one. I think so. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this because I'm gonna have to do this anyway. Um, one thing to be careful of is there is a lot of wires, so you don't want to go too crazy and basically end up cutting like you can see just visually here. There's a lot of wires up underneath here, so it's going to be important to be extremely careful. But basically, I'm going to snip and basically take this cross section out here. I'm probably going to do this off camera because I want to have some control so I can keep an eye on the wires underneath. Okay, so I ended up basically just pulling on this and flexing it upwards, and I'm just going to do that. I haven't broken this loose yet. This is still intact. Um, I can get to this, and there's no reason to tear this off if I don't have to. So this mess of wires. So there was a screw here. Damn, can y'all see this? I need more of a top down. Hold on. Let's adjust this a little bit. So there is, this looks like darkness from the camera, but there is a place right down in there. It's no better. Just trust me, there is a screw down there. There was a screw up here. We should be able to pull this out. Uh, there is a lot of cables in the way though. So I'm going to do my best to be careful here. Oop. This is one of those things you need fingers to kind of feel for. Fingers are going to be in a way for a moment. All right, so this had a screw at the bottom. So you got this cover. I don't think we're gonna ever use that cover again. There is our little bar graph. I think we should be able to just pull this guy out. He does seem like he is wedged in there pretty good. Okay, so I took a little flat screwdriver and I kind of slowly pulling it out here. Not sure how we're going to deal with this bundle of cables connected to it because it is tight in there. We somehow have to transfer these cables over to the new microcontroller, which is this guy. So yeah, that is in there pretty darn tight. I think all these are going to it, but it's kind of hard to see. But they are kind of whipping around over here, and just being a little extra cautious because I don't know how weird this bundle of cables is. This is glued to something underneath here. Okay, so I wiggled this a little bit more, uh, and I feel a little bit more confident about what to do here. So just some very basic bulbs underneath, and this is your bundle. This is it right here, and basically we're going to need to um, cut these, get them trimmed up, and go through the process of plugging them into the new um, microcontroller. Mm. I don't know if I've got some wire trimmers small enough for these. This may end up being a little challenging, but basically, this is no more. Uh, so I'm going to leave it on for a second. The big thing is going to be getting the rest of this plastic out. Actually, I might need to go ahead and cut this up. Yeah, I think I need to go ahead and pull the rest of this out. Considering this thing is only like 120 bucks, this is a lot of electronics for a toy. These two do not come. All right. Yeah, I think I'm going to solder, basically heat these up and pull them off. That way I don't need to, damn, I can't think of the right word, but I don't need to um, trim the wire up. Okay, so I got those off. They pulled off really easily, and I got these nice little ends that I can thread in to our new microprocessor. And I can also, I don't like how they're kind of crisscross in there, so I think I'm going to try to do something to get them out of the way a little bit. But now that that is gone, should be able to pull this guy on out. Uh, what else is he connected to? Pull this out. Okay, so we will need to remove this also. This needs to come out. These things are wedged in so good that it takes a lot of force to get them loose to come out, but you don't want to have too much violent force and like rip the stuff loose. Okay. Good God, this ain't even like the whole thing. There's people that replace this whole motherboard and put in like, whole new third party motherboards on here. Okay. Um, and there's one more. There is one more screw that has to come out. Okay. This is a lot of work. Something tells me we need to remove this. Also, mm, Okay, maybe not. It's not wanting to budge, but it is in this plastic piece. That's gonna be a little bit of a problem. Okay, I think I'm going to just go ahead and try pulling this out. I need to be careful of this guy here. And kind of feels a little stuck right now. I think this is wedged in pretty good. Try to push up from underneath. No, it's not helping at all. Kind of need something to hook up underneath it. This is not going to be easy. It almost feels like it's been glued down. Okay, I'm gonna work on this a little bit off camera. Okay, so ended up taking this guy and basically prying this loose, and getting this out the way is gonna make me feel a little bit better, so that when I go to put more force to pulling this plastic piece out, I don't have to worry about this losing the battle, so to speak. So let's see. Yeah, this, it really is kind of wedged really good on this end. There we go. This is a very unpractical tool. And this is basically the kind of thing you use to pull the little rubber gaskets out of your mugs and thermoses. So find one of these on Amazon. This is gonna help you a lot. Okay, so that has popped loose. And I think we can go ahead and pull this the rest of the way out. Maybe. It's still wedged in there really good. Okay, I'm gonna try to work on this some more off camera. Okay, so for some reason I'm kind of stuck right here. I cannot get this guy all the way out. And I'm thinking, you know what? I can probably do the cuts that I need on this piece and just push it back in and be done with it. So we're gonna need to keep this area, and we need to basically cut around here. So I'm going to be working on that next, and I will be back once that is done. Okay, so I snipped, and then I snipped again and basically cut like a little wedge out, broke the wedge loose so that I had clearance to kind of snip further. I got so far and my snippers couldn't get any further, so I started wiggling it, and eventually I could break this off. So we can kind of just push this guy back in there if it lets me. Um, here. And now we kind of done with that. I'm gonna have to put the screws back in, but we're done with that part. And then uh, here we need to, here's the other side of it. Um, we're going to cut here. Basically, we want to keep all these screw holes and mount pieces. So, okay, so we need this guy. We don't need any of this other stuff, so I'm gonna cut in like so. Be careful though. And basically trying to create a place where I can uh, kind of make a pathway to keep cutting in this way. Okay. And let's see, cutting that, cutting that, did that already. Cut this, kind of making a little square here. I think not not over there yet. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to clean up just a little bit of this excess stuff, just a little bit, because we don't want to create any fractures that will destroy that plastic further. Okay, making a mess here. All right, so we've got a piece down in there. Kind of think might need to cut some more of that off. Not sure. This guy is gonna end up going back here. think it was like that. Yep. So where's our bar graph? Okay. Kind of mushed this in already, but the side with the connectors should go on this side, and I got that wrong. Yeah, I guess it does go in like that. Pull this out for a second. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna have to get more of this material out down in there. All right, so I am not done with this. Okay, so now that this was, um, this part taken away, this came out pretty easily. So I'm just gonna take some more of this off. I don't think we need any of this. It seems to be getting in the way too. Take that off. So we're gonna leave um, this wall, but these pegs, this plastic, all this stuff is coming off. Okay. I think that's as close as I can cut it without destroying that. Okay, so I need to slide this back in now. This little guy is going to get in the way. So pull him out. Slip this in. Oh, this is so much work. Got to get this back into all the different grooves. Luckily, it just kind of slid in very well just now. Okay, so I think that's good. Right. So should have enough space to slide this down in and it be flush. And that does look a lot better. Okay, so before we get too far, we got to deal with the bar graph cable. So that's going to be our next thing to deal with. Okay, so I've got the wires in, and um, basically you're going to do these like any other screw, lefty loosey, righty tighty. You want to unwind these pretty far before you start plugging things in. Another thing to note is that the colors are not in the same sequence, like they're not in the order of the cables. Plus, you got two extra cables: the white cable, the black cable. Um, I just displayed the instructions from Frutto, but I just want to show you what this looks like at this point, where the basically the color arrangement is for these guys. If I can zoom in a little bit better. So this is what it should look like at this point. Okay, so you're gonna end up with 3 extra cables. So the black is a ground cable. The white and green, forgot which ones these are, but they need to be, all 3 of them need to be soldered to the motherboard, and the soldering joints are underneath. So we're going to have to pull the motherboard out to get to the back of it to be able to solder these final pieces together. So I'm going to, there's 4 screws here. I'm going to unscrew those. I'm going to try to do this without disconnecting everything. I don't know how successful that's going to be, but I'm going to do my best, and then do the soldering joints. Um, I'm not going to show you uh, show doing that, but um, basically, if I can use something as an example, we'll pretend this is a nice gloppy soldering joint, but basically take your soldering gun and heat up the spot, and then touch the wire to it. It should like heat, cool instantly, and stick, and you're pretty much done. I the soldering that I've come across on some of these joints already isn't uh, terribly difficult. They're like they heat up easily, so um, shouldn't be too worrisome to do that. The thing I'm more concerned about is like tearing wires. That's the only thing I've like been worried about this whole time, is like don't tear any wires. So that's going to be your number one goal. So gonna work on that and be back. So there are pins with wires going this way, and we've got uh, not a pin but a connector with wires going that way. So there's not going to be a way to like keep everything plugged in. I'm going to unplug this one, and then I think since these two point in that direction, I'll be fine. But I'm going to pull this. I'm going to be very careful when I do it. One technique I tend to use is, try to press and wiggle. The main thing is just be very careful. The connector receptacle is soldered to the board. You don't want to use a bunch of force to try to rip it loose. Sometimes you've got to get something into the front to basically kind of wedge, basically release the little clip. Um, so that's my advice for you. This is something that's just going to be impossible to try to do on camera. So um, that is my advice for you. Another technique is taking a flathead screwdriver and basically there's like a little edge here and twisting it to basically wiggle the head loose. Let's see, this might be a little bit thicker, might work a little bit better. Sometimes these things don't really have much of a edge to the top, and this doesn't end up working very well. I need like 4 hands to do this. Basically, just you want to do your best to pull it loose without ripping it. All right, so got these connected. So I'm gonna put power in and turn this thing on and see what happens. Oh shit. Okay. This is pretty awesome. All right, so I'm gonna start putting this all back together, and we'll be pretty much done. Right, so before I get too ahead of myself, I haven't really put this thing back. Like I haven't got the bar graph seated in yet, so I almost forgot the most important part. I don't think this is going to be difficult, but there's a little bit more work to do here. So um, let's move these guys out of the way, and I think this is going to be a little problematic. Okay, let's get this in. I think this is going to be important to be mounted. We're going to have to kind of work around this. turns on right now. Okay, so that is bottom. So this is the correct orientation. And having to switch between different glasses, eyeglasses. So, actually, before I seat this in, I think I need to secure this bottom area. So let's work on that. Okay, the screw way over that down, and there is a real hump to get to. All right, so the way this is supposed to work, there is a groove here, and you're supposed to basically get it wedged into the bottom of the outer frame. Try to make sure this piece is flush. Okay. And then you're supposed to fit this over the existing plastic piece. There's a good bit of bending that has to happen. So, yeah, or if I should screw this down first. Okay, I think that will help with some stability. Okay, very tricky. Ooh, I think I just broke this. Oh, Mm. Right. This is more or less broken. Mm, this does seem to be getting in the way. Let's take this out again. Yep. Okay. The inner frame to this was looking pretty bent up. Looks normal again. And there's already kind of a lip to this piece. And it just really wasn't working with the way they wanted you to secure this. So, yeah, okay. Hmm. Need to remove some of this. So, cut this piece, the top part, down some. Because as I was screwing it in, I just putting too much pressure. The on the inside, see how it's kind of buckling down there. At least this does a good job of holding it together. But I think I need to trim a little bit more off. Okay. All right, that's better. Still too much. Okay, I took even more off. I'm not sure how to get around that. So I have cut even deeper into that. See if that makes a difference. Nope. It's definitely this. Try to get some more off. Getting real close to messing with the integrity of this thing. I think I might need to trim some of this off. Yeah, look, there's a kind of beveled edge there. Let's see if that fixes it. Still pressing, pushing down too much. All right, it is flush now. Cannot really cut any more from it. See if it's gonna work or not gonna work. I seem to did it. Once we put some real torque on it, we'll see. Okay, I think that's good enough. Question is, can I get this bar graph in? Now you're supposed to. I don't really know how this works. You're supposed to place this down in the other joint, and it's supposed to basically help hold the bar graph in. There are just way too many cables to really show you this effectively, but I think this is what's happening. Kind of place it down like this, and it's going to kind of wedge the circuit board down. So I'm going to do that next. Okay, now we're really going to be able to see, but I did get that down in there, and it does wedge it in pretty good. So at this point, we need to start putting things back together. I don't know where this chunk of stuff is going to end up. I guess that's interesting. The bar graph is loose now. I thought this got wedged in pretty good. Um, but I'm gonna have to get this chunk of stuff in. I'm gonna have to put this guy back. Um, this guy has to go back. Um, again, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. It's gonna have to go down underneath this plastic part. So I'm gonna work on that, and I'll kind of show you what that's gonna end up looking like before I close this up. Okay, so I've got the bar graph kind of sort of in there um, with the support structure broken. Um, it's not in there very well, so just gonna kind of hope it sits in there okay. I'm gonna try to get a replacement. It would be nice if there was some way to get like plastic versions of these. The guys who make these should probably look into finding somebody who can help machine these, because the PLA stuff is just it breaks too easily. I need something stronger for these. So I'm going to basically shove all this stuff up underneath here. Mush this back down the best I can. I do need to try to unwarp this, and I might use heat to help heal this up a little bit, this piece up a little bit too. I'm just gonna basically push all this stuff underneath and close it back up, and we should be good. Last but not least, almost forgot about this. So we've got the barrel tip replacement. So supposedly this guy just slides off, maybe with a little bit of elbow grease, but um, let's actually extend that. And I'm going to try to just wiggle this off. So that front piece does not just come off. It does seem like it's probably glued on there. And The orange part does seem like it is separate in some way. You know what, though? The more I look at it, this looks like it's all one piece. The orange and the gray. So this trigger part is rubber. Um, I don't think the rest of this is the same. Oh yeah, it is the same material. However this is on there, it is on there pretty good. So question is, do I want to try to work this off in some way? Maybe try to heat it up a little bit. Or should I just go about taking an X-Acto and just cutting this piece off here? Um, yeah, you can, looking at this edge, you can tell that um, this is all one piece and the rubber plastic is orange and this is painted gray on the outside. So this is going to be a bit of a challenge. And then this, yeah, like to do this in a halfway decent way, I'm going to end up having to paint afterwards too, because cutting this piece off is going to leave exposed orange. And even once this gets on here, there's a good chance this might need to be glued on. It's going to look weird because there's going to be a big fat orange circle on the edge. So this is actually going to take a little bit more finesse. Still worth doing, but it's going to take more work than just popping this off, popping this off. This is not two pieces. This is all one piece. So I think we're going to forego this for now. Um, I will start collecting some paint and preparation to hopefully match this. And then I may come back and do this mod later. So that's that. Okay, so I've got it all uh, screwed back together. And one thing I forgot to record that I wanted to talk about. As I was plugging things back in, at some point, you know, having it upside down, applying pressure to it to do all this stuff, this barrel had been like somehow like turned a little bit. And as I was trying to put the bottom piece back on, it just wouldn't like fit back together. Like there was something just keeping it from closing, the two halves from closing. I spent a bunch of time messing with it, and long story short, the screw that we didn't touch that's further in the back, I took it all the way out. Uh, I'm sorry, I skipped this part. I couldn't really get this to twist back into place. I was pretty certain that that was the problem with getting it to close. Like it was turned and it was like kind of pushing outward a little bit. So I took that screw out. It allowed me to turn it back in place very easily. I put the screw back in, and then I was able to close the entire thing back up. So uh, just little thing to be aware of there if you run into a similar problem. So technically, this guy is broken. This filler piece, looking at it, you can't tell. I know in my mind it is, but like from a practical point of view, it's fine. The from putting so much work into this and not knowing if this is gonna like become loose and fall down inside at some point, I do want to replace it. But for now, it does work. I do want to show this off. So look at that. Man, that is just night and day compared to this and this. And as you see, if you do turn the intensity up here, the meter does go all the way up. And then you can fire. And you get that. So, definitely worth the effort. It took a very long time, mostly because I was trying to be extra careful. I was trying to find ways to not break that guard piece. I really didn't have to do any of that stuff. Hopefully, this will allow you to see some of my mistakes, and if you decide to do this, you'll have an easier time doing it, and you'll be able to get straight to the get started and finished quickly. Also, this shows that you can use this with just stock HasLab. You don't need any of the other add-on kits. That Frutto Bargraph with their add-on microprocessor will do the trick. Um, it does require the soldering. The soldering can be a little scary, especially if you haven't done it before, but there's only a couple places that you have to solder, and just be careful about what direction your cable is going toward the lead on the back, because you got to fit it all back into the wand. So that's the video. I hope this helps people. If anything, I hope it's just entertaining to see me fumble through this stuff. It's really nice to have, a quote unquote accurate bar graph, and it does make this thing feel like even more premium. So maybe, hey, maybe Hasbro, y'all can come up with another version sometime and like put like a real bar graph in there, because man, it just makes a difference. It's just night and day. So let me know what you think in the comments. Please tune into more videos coming up, and as always, please like and subscribe if you haven't done so. I really appreciate it. Thank you.